And I'll get my screen up here. Yep, so we're doing lesson 2, unit 1, lesson 2, understand map components. And like I said, this one's probably going to go a little quicker today. We don't have the whole introduction and everything, so we'll just be able to jump right in. What is going on here?
So that's student book lesson 2?
This is, yeah, student book. Lesson 2, understand map components. Okay. So I have to pull up the. Okay, here we go. So in this lesson, you're going to be able to define the terms scales, longitude, latitude, symbols, and map key. You're going to be able to identify these on a map, and we'll be able to explain their function. And then, basically that's all it's going to be today. We're looking at maps. We're going to look at like a map key. We'll talk a little bit about longitude and latitude, how that all works. And then we'll go through our quiz. So it's just a little continuation from yesterday, getting a little deeper into the maps and how they work. Okay, and we got a little bit of audio here. I'll go ahead and play that.
When you begin to analyze maps, you must first understand map components. Maps often include the following components. 1. Scales have small marks that stand for miles and kilometers. Scales help measure the real distances on Earth. 2. Lines of longitude and latitude define exact or absolute location of places. Lines of longitude run north-south, while lines of latitude run east-west. Relative location describes the position of a place in relation to other places. 3. Symbols, such as dots for cities, stars for capital cities, or icons for special events such as battles, can help you understand details on a map. Symbols are explained in the map key. Different types of maps use different symbols. Map titles, compass roses, and labels also are useful tools on a map.
Yep. So, scales, you see those are typically at the bottom of a map, and it'll show you, like how many inches or centimeters, whatever the scale is used in, whatever system of measurement, how many equal a mile or 50 miles, however that scale is set up. And, that's basically how you measure on a physical map, right? You can take a ruler or something equivalent to that, and it'll, you can judge distance that way. Lines of longitude and latitude, that's an easy one to confuse, right? Longitude runs northwest, and I don't know why this works for me. Somebody told me this a long time ago. They're the long lines because they go up and down. So if that helps, they're the longitude, they run up and down, oblong. And latitude goes around the earth. So the equator, right, like we talked about yesterday, is a point of latitude. It's a latitudinal line around the earth because it goes east to west. And then, we're going to talk about various, like a map key, and you have various symbols. Typically for like a state capital, you have a star that designates that. And then, airports, there'll be like a little airplane on your map and things like that. So a lot of that we're probably familiar with. And they try to make the symbols, fairly universal, so they're easy to understand for large groups of people. So let's take at our first map. So New Jersey, and we have major cities. Pretty simple map. Down here is our key, and the little white box there, basically the only two symbols in it is where the state capital is in the major cities. So, Trenton being the state capital, it's designated with a star. And then that's what I was talking about with our scale.
I ain't really tried a football.
Marker here.
Yeah,
Okay. So all right, that's our scale, and we only have 2 items on the scale. This is what they mean by compass rose. It's shows the direction on the map. Pretty much any map you see, and unless it's made by a lunatic, its orientation is going to be that north is up. Anytime you hold a map up, north is going to be the upward direction. That's the way a map faces. At least, in the US. You might run into some other, weird map somewhere else, but most of the time, north on a map is going to point up. And then our little scale down here, and like I said, it corresponds to some standard of measurement, either metric or imperial. And you'd be able to, set a ruler up against that and realize, okay, well, an inch, is 50 miles. And then that's how you would measure on the map. And then over in our text boxes, it says, when you start to analyze a map, examine all of the components, such as the title and key. This will help you determine the purpose of the map. It's the same thing we were talking about in language arts yesterday, right? With the title. You read the title, you find out what's going on. Same thing with maps. They're all going to have a title, and it's going to tell you what is going on, whether it's a weather map, a road map, what type of information is being displayed there. And then use the map scale to measure distances between cities. That's what we were talking about down here. So you can take your ruler out and you can measure in between those distances. Okay, and let's move on to our next slide. Well, I think I got my still got my writing tools on. There we go. Okay. And that's the end of the lesson, basically. So all we're talking about and what we're going to work on for our quiz and our workbook are looking at the compass rose, the scale, symbols on a map, a little bit of longitude and latitude. So we'll move over to the quiz now. So that's student book lesson 2 on the quiz. Okay. And then it's showing our relationships between the environment and societal development. So that's one of our objectives. So showing things like in the long term here, that's what we want to look at is the differences between like nationhood and statehood, how that's represented on a map. Relationships between the environment and society, right? That's another point of geography. It's that human interaction between the environment and space. How do we change the environment? How does the environment change us? And it doesn't have to just be like, the air quality or the terrain. It can also be the environment, like the economy and things like that, that actually affect people that are part of that space. Disease, right? That could be a part of the environment that changes that space. Borders between peoples and nations, right? So that's another thing that's always going to be represented on a map that we talked about. A political map shows borders. Borders between people and nations. Human migration, right? That's also part of a political map. When somebody is migrating to a new location, they're going to go across borders. And finally, integrating content presented in different ways. So we're going to analyze that content, how it appears on a map, how do we process that and look at it. So let's take a look here. Okay. So understand map components. Here we go. So again, reviewing the skill, map symbols such as dots, stars, and triangles show specific geographic information. Other elements that can help you understand information on a map include the map title, a compass rose, scales, the map key, and labels. Latitude, like we mentioned before, runs east to west, like the equator. Longitude runs north to south. Those lines can help you pinpoint absolute location. understanding those map components will aid in your study of geography. Here's the other thing about latitude and longitude. Latitude, right, is set up because 0 degrees latitude around the Earth is the equator. And you start measuring from the equator up and down. So everything above the equator goes north. So if you're at 1 degree north of the equator, right, you're just sitting right above it. Most of the United States is in like the 30-degree area. We're at like 38, 39, something like that around Columbus. So, you know, it goes up. And the same thing for the southern hemisphere. So if you're in, say, Brazil, you're probably around, you know, I think around 20 degrees or so south. The other thing about latitude and longitude, latitude is dictated by there wasn't any changing that, right? We set it there. 0 degrees is at the equator. Longitude is arbitrary because it could be any point is 0 degrees. But a long time ago, a bunch of dudes were in Greenwich, England, and they decided that's going to be 0 degrees longitude. So everything.
Excuse me, Matt.
Yes.
Can you have Marlene mute her phone or whatever it is? Because like it's hard to hear you with her background jumping from yours to hers, and I'm kind of like trying to pay attention and listen, but it's kind of like her and then the background. I can barely hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I tried to ask her as well.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, if you could just do me a favor, you know, if unless you're asking a question or something, just make sure you're muting your mics. I appreciate it. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out. And you know, if you need anything else, as far as any questions or anything, just unmute or use the chat, and I'll take a look at the chat. All right. So yeah, so what I was saying about longitude, it's arbitrary as far as where the starting point was, and they chose Greenwich, England as 0. And we're going to see this on the map. So everything west of Greenwich, which means the United States, is a western longitude. Everything east of that is an east longitude. And it was just, that was what they decided. You know, it just, well, let's just put it here because we're all here. And there was no other rhyme or reason. But that's also where you get a lot of the why you get the definition of Near East, Middle East, and Far East is from those determinations of where they put the longitude degrees. All right. So here we're going to be looking at a map of the 13 colonies to start the quiz. By refining the skill of understanding map components, we're going to be able to improve our study and test taking abilities, especially those, of course, are relating to the GED social studies test. So remember that the various features on the map can help provide you with valuable geographic information about specific locations on Earth. So we're going to take a look at the map now, and we'll have a few questions afterward here. So our compass, again, is running north to south, north being up, but it can also help you determine directions on the map when you look at it easily. A lot of compass roses will be a little more ornate. They'll show things like northwest, southwest, or northwest. It'll give you those type of directions. And then we use the map key again to determine what the map symbols and shading represent. So here it's different than the map we looked at with New Jersey, right? We have the 13 colonies represented. So this is obviously like, well, if it's colonies, it's before 1776. And we have conflicting claims. So the light green areas we see, part of that is Indian territory, right? It says Indian Reserve. We see West and East Florida. And disputed territory. So up here, there's a little bit of hashed marked area that's being disputed. And then we have our large settlements. And of course, that's like Boston, New York, Williamsburg, Charleston. So let's take a look here. We'll start the quiz. Okay. And Another little test taking tip. So you may need to understand more than one component or the meaning of more than one symbol to answer a question. So make sure you take time to understand all map elements before you start diving into the questions. So again, these are right now pretty simple maps. We're seeing the 13 colonies, we're seeing disputed territory, we're seeing conflicting claims about territory. We have the Ohio and the Mississippi River here. So let's take a look and see what our questions look like. So question 1 here, which of the following statements best describes the area of the Indian Reserve? So A, it is concentrated in the north. B, it is between the 13 colonies and the Mississippi River. C, it includes the areas of West Florida and East Florida. D, it is near several large settlements. So what can we say about the Indian Reserve? Right here. So we can eliminate some of these, right? That might be the way to go. So it's definitely not part of East and West Florida, right? Because that's labeled separately. East Florida, West Florida, that's its own place. Is it concentrated in the north? Well, no, that's more the Midwest, right? And South Central United States. So it's definitely not concentrated in the north. And it's near several large settlements. I mean, not really, because remember, this kind of runs back to what we were talking about yesterday with Australia, right? Just like Australia, we settled the United States from the outside in. So at this point, all our major settlements are coastal, so it doesn't really run into any settlements at this point.
Oh, it's B.
So it's C. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Whoa. Oh, I'm sorry. I got a little mixed up there. Yeah, so it does include West Florida and East Florida. Oh, wait. Yeah. Sorry, I'm starting off from the wrong foot here. Yeah, no, it is. It's C. It does include West Florida and East Florida. The green area, the light green area, is about what is conflicting claims. So that is all Indian Reserve territory. I'm sorry, I got a little confused there to start. It is C. Okay. All right, now, which of the following statements is accurate? So large settlements stretch from the north to the southern colonies. North Carolina had one large settlement. Larger settlements were located in colonies with disputed land, or there were no settlements in the South.
D.
No, because D, we have Charleston down here, right? So that's a major settlement. That's in the South. And Williamsburg, you could consider that as part of Virginia, is in the South as well. And B, we can eliminate because there's no settlements at this point, large settlements, as they claim. A, large settlements stretch from the northern to the southern colonies. Almost, but we do miss some points here because when we get to Georgia and North Carolina, it doesn't actually stretch all the way down. So that's a bit of a problem. So that leaves, by process of elimination this time, C. So larger settlements were located in colonies with disputed land. So up here, Boston, New York. That was a little odd, but by eliminating the other ones, you could see that the other ones make less sense. All right, new map. We have a map of the United States, and it's a bit of a topographic map. We actually have some relief here showing the mountainous areas and elevation. So our key, we see is a collar key, and it's related to elevation. So we see like our little Appalachian Mountains over here. They top out at less than, about 6,000 feet. So you only see spots here in West Virginia, North Carolina, bits of Virginia, and bits of Pennsylvania, where those actually reach into maybe a little over 6,000 feet. The area I grew up in, the closest mountain was about 4,000 feet, I believe. And then, of course, over on the Rockies, we see that it gets way above 6,500 feet or so. Right outside. This is what I was talking about yesterday. Even when you get into Denver, you don't really see a lot of mountains. It doesn't change elevation that quickly. And then on the other side of Denver, you are up. You are way up in the mountains. And we also mentioned the Donner Party yesterday. I think they were in the Sierra Nevada, so they actually made it over this way before they got trapped by the snow. So we have some measuring to do, and I don't expect you guys to break out your rulers and try to use that little scale to measure distance on your screen. So I will ask you the questions, and you give me a guess, and we'll see, how close we get. And I'll plug in the final answer here. So looking at the map.
C.
B?
C as in cat.
C. Okay. It's B. It is actually about 1,500 miles from Houston to Atlanta. No, it doesn't seem like it's that long, but that's
how would we know that from looking at that map, though?
Well, you got to take the scale, right? So down here, this is what I'm talking about. It's hard to see unless unless you got a ruler with you there.
35 west. Oh.
Right. So you would I think that's about an inch is what they have. I'm going to take my ruler here and see as far as what the scale is.
Impossible. There's no way.
Absolutely. There's no way.
There's no way, Latoya. I'm looking at your face like, no, there would be no way.
I can't with this.
Okay. So it's actually about 9/10 or so, right, on the scale. You're probably not going to run into too many questions like this on the exam, right? You're not going to expect you to bring a ruler to take your test. But this is just basically giving you some practice as far as, how we're going to measure on maps, what to look for. So if you stretch that out, we would have about 1,500 miles there. Okay. And let me see here. Number 4. So once again, based on the map, which state would most likely have one of the highest points in the nation? That one might be a little easier. We don't have to worry about measuring.
Maine.
Highest points?
Colorado.
Colorado, right? Yeah.
I thought so we're talking about the elevation.
Elevation. Yeah. So what is the highest point there? And like we said, over here, the Rocky Mountains, we know have higher points in them than the Appalachians over here. There's actually Maine. There is some upper altitudes, and it gets super, super cold. I think some of the coldest temperatures that they have recorded in the U.S. have come from Maine. But yeah, for this one, Colorado is going to be the right answer. Okay. Wait a minute. I think something's off here.
Something is definitely off. I don't even see Colorado on here.
That's for number 4.
Yeah, number 4.
Yeah.
Colorado.
Colorado's on mine, but this thing is definitely glitching though.
Okay. All right, and here we go. Which city is located near 35 degrees
Atlanta.
north and 85 west? Yeah. So this is what we're talking about with longitude and latitude. So every degree on the map for the United States is a northern latitude and a western longitude. So 85 degrees west runs right here,
Is it Houston or Atlanta?
It's Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Okay.
And then 35 degrees runs here. So that is C, Atlanta. Okay. All right. And then based on the map, what is the relative location of Detroit? So relative meaning it's based on where you are.
North of Columbus.
Exactly, right? That's straightforward. North of Columbus. Yeah, relative position. So if we were in Detroit, then, you know, Columbus is south of us. If we were in Atlanta, you know, we would be, Columbus would be north of us. So it's all relative.
Okay, where we at on this book? Because I'm totally lost.
Okay, we
Seven.
just finished number 6, which is based on the map. What is the relative location of Detroit?
Okay,
If
I
you're
need
in
to
the-
know what page you on.
Okay, because when I came into it, it started me on the quiz and I was on the wrong thing too. We're on L2, workbook L2, understanding map components.
Yeah.
Unit 1.
It's
It put me into the quiz.
Mine
So,
was too.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's the second component of lesson 2. The student book was just the one little lesson, and then we're in student book quiz, second part.
No, we're in the workbook. We're not in the quiz.
Wait a minute.
It is the quiz because it says submit all answers at the bottom of it.
No, wait a minute.
No, this is the
weird.
workbook, you guys. The quiz is different. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you're
this is
right.
the workbook.
Okay.
It's not the quiz.
What happened? So I just went straight over. You know what? I'm sorry,
I'm
guys.
telling you guys what
Yeah.
it did to me. It messed up. Like it started me when we hit next, it started me into the quiz. So I thought that's what we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
Then I had to go all the way. I had to go all the way back to the workbook.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
go to
sorry.
the second.
I don't know why it did that. I'm going to close this out because that is why. I don't understand why. Okay, I'm going to open this again. I'm going back to the lesson 2. Understand map components, and then I'm just going to click through this real quick. Boom, boom.
It takes you into the quiz. It doesn't take you into the workbook.
Okay, it should. Yeah, that's what it should do, is take me into the quiz.
But we were just working on the workbook when we were answering those questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out because that's all I did was I hit the next activity and then start.
Maybe they hitting the next activity and not pressing start.
Yeah. Yeah. I apologize, guys. If you could just go into lesson 2, student book quiz.
But we have to finish the workbook. That's where we were just answering questions out of when we were like, in which of the areas in the United States has the lowest elevation? That's in the workbook. That's not in the quiz. So
Right,
so we're just stopping this and then jumping over to the quiz.
All right, we'll come back to the quiz since you guys are already in there. That makes sense. All right. I don't understand what happened there. Okay, so let me jump back in.
The next activity, y'all not pressing start on the workbook. That's what's taking y'all to the quiz.
Yeah, but that's okay. We'll just finish the workbook and then we'll go back into the
First of all, mine
quiz.
don't say none of that, and I'm with the 2. I got that New Jersey shit up on mine.
Okay, just get back into the workbook. It should still let you submit answers.
Shit.
Okay. Now let's
We're
make
on number
sense.
7.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just jump down here, number 7.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Okay. So
it's your fucking fault. You motherfucker.
You guys gotta mute your mic.
Oh, man.
yeah, please mute your mic. Okay. So Number 7, which area of the United States would you find land with the lowest elevation? So we just talked
still
about
lost. It's
In
not
the
breaking up
southeast.
what they on.
southeast, right? This
Mhm.
whole entire plain down here is going to be the lowest elevation. So
Okay.
B
Uh,
in the southeast, number 7.
He said go to 2, right?
What's did you get D for 8?
We just got,
Or
We
C?
just got on 8.
yeah, we're on 8 right now. Let's get ready to read that question. So
I
in this
got
one,
C.
C. Okay, yeah. How far is Columbus from Denver? And I've driven it. It's taken like 2 days. So I know it's 1,200 miles if you were to measure that distance. C.
See, I didn't know. So they told me what I don't know, always go with C. So that's what I did.
Okay.
It's continue. This is
All
what it's putting up.
So number 9, we have a new map.
I'm seeing New Jersey. I don't see where he's at.
Okay. So we're looking at the state of Washington. New key. We have state capital, major cities,
On there?
national parks, and monuments. Okay. So which national park on this map is closest to the capital? So it's asking you to find the capital, right? State capital of Washington is Olympia. What national park here is closest?
B.
There you go. B, Mount Rainier. Okay. Next map, or same map, new question.
Next one.
So which of the following statements is accurate? So we're looking at roads. So I-90 connects Spokane and Richland. I-90 runs north to south. I-5 connects 4 major cities. I-82 merges with I-5.
Okay.
I would say D. I-5 merges with I. Doesn't they all connect at a point? Or no, I lied. Never mind.
So C.
C,
Yeah, I-5, right? It connects all major city or 3 major cities. The thing about interstates, if you're not aware, odd number interstates run north-south, and even number interstates run east-west. I think our next map, we're going to see a little bit of that too when we get to Georgia. So 10 was C, 11. So based on the information here, which of the following best describes Washington? Okay, so Washington is east of Idaho, Washington is landlocked, Washington borders Canada and California, or Washington has several national parks and monuments.
Okay,
So
where the hell is Washington?
D.
Well,
I see it. I see it.
So it's not landlocked, right? Because it
It's
sits
D.
on the Pacific Ocean. It's not east of Idaho because Idaho's over here, so it's west of Idaho, right? And then Washington borders Canada and California. It borders Canada, but it borders Oregon. It doesn't border California. It's D, right? That's the only statement that's applicable here. All right. Based on the information, which of the following best describes Washington? D. Okay. So number 12, that's more of an inference, right? We're looking at some of how we can make some determinations here. So for this, why might Puget Sound be an important waterway?
D.
12. B, Puget Sound is a source of the
No,
Columbia.
D as in dog.
D, yes. So Puget Sound connects major cities to the Pacific Ocean, right? Here's the Pacific. It goes inland, and you have Seattle, Tacoma, and Olympia all along Puget Sound. So D is our correct answer there. And 13. Okay, so approximately how many miles apart are the cities of Bellingham and Olympia? And again, can't really measure on that.
B.
It is B.
B. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, 150. Okay. All right. And which national park or monument is closest to Oregon, right? Oregon, right down here. Which national park is closest?
The one with the well, maybe I don't know. Is it
You,
the you? I would say the
yeah,
or the
Yeah.
Mount St. Helens, one of those.
Yeah, Umatilla. Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
It's
Umatilla.
D. Yeah. It's right on. It might actually run into Oregon. Okay. Map of DC. We got the National Mall here. A lot of the memorials, monuments, and museums. So let's take a look at number 15. So each year, close to 20 million people visit Washington, D.C., the capital of the U.S. Most of the main government buildings and national monuments are located in one area of the city. Visitors can walk, ride on a tour bus, or take the metro, the city's subway system, to visit these sites. Although some attractions, such as the White House tour, require advanced tickets, all government buildings, including the White House and the National Archives, as well as all monuments, memorials, and Smithsonian museums, have free admission. They are supported by and belong to the American taxpayer. So if we look at the map, where is most of the parking located?
The National Mall.
Yep, it's all along the National Mall, right? Parking. Good luck trying to get a parking spot there. But if you're looking for it, yeah, that's where most of your parking is going to be. So C, by the National Mall. And 16, downtown Washington again. Which metro station is closest to the White House? So the metro stations are the little pink or red looking areas. Boom. There's Archives, Navy Memorial, Federal Center, Smithsonian, and Federal Triangle.
the Federal
Federal
Triangle. Yeah, I could get it out.
B.
Yeah, B, Federal Triangle.
I
Okay.
had to find it. I'm looking like
I still didn't find it.
It's up there.
Can't
It's
see
up
the-
there at the top.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The White House is all the way at the top. I couldn't find it either.
Yeah, White House is over here. And down here, Federal Triangle. It's not super close. Still got a little bit of a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never actually been to the White House. Been to DC several times, but okay. And then 17. Which is the most direct route for a walking tour? Now, what they're asking basically is, how are you going to make a straight line to do a walking tour? Because you got to walk a lot when you're in DC. So would you go from the Capitol down here
Yeah.
to the
Hey.
National Gallery, to Washington Monument, to FDR, to Jefferson Memorial, or Lincoln Memorial, Jefferson Memorial, Korean, Betts Memorial, White House, Washington Monument? That's a lot of zigzagging, because you're going to go here, and then you're going to go here, and then you're going to go here. So that's probably not going to make sense. Vietnam Memorial, Lincoln, White House, U.S. Capitol, Washington Monument. That's kind of zigzaggy too. Boom, boom, White House. And then what did it say? Yeah, you're going to go all the way down here and then have to walk all the way back to the Washington Monument. And then finally, Washington Monument, Lincoln, White House, or National Gallery. So what they want here is A. And that's going to bring you from the Capitol
All the way down.
to National Gallery, to Lincoln Memorial, and then you can wrap back around to the FDR Memorial. Yeah, one straight line instead of having to zigzag all the way back around. And that's what you want to do, because you do a lot of walking in DC. All right, so A for 17. And the last one here, 18. Which site is located farthest away from the World War II Memorial? So is it the Free Art Gallery, the White House, the Ellipse, or the Capitol? So
The U.S. Capitol.
the U.S. Capitol, yep, all the way down here. And I've walked that more than once in the day and didn't really care for it. So hard on the knees, hard on the hips. Okay, so we'll submit here and then
What?
close
Why are
out.
all my questions wrong.
I say I got mine wrong too.
Oh no.
It says
Oh.
one. It says
I
one
can't
was
spend
C.
nothing because I ain't get to do nothing on that page.
1 through
They
3
say-
is
went
wrong
on
for
my
me.
mouth,
Well,
it's called-
I know
I-
mine one
Yeah,
said one.
hold on. I see it too. It happened to me. Let me take a look a little bit later, see what
Very
happened
rude.
there. If there's any problems, I'll let you guys know. This does happen. I've seen it over and over again. They'll give you the right answer, and then it'll count as wrong. We had a big problem with that last review that I did with the summative review. So don't worry about it. Not a big deal. I'll take a look at it later. Let's go back. We'll do the quiz real quick. Okay, so student book, lesson 2, understand map components, quiz. That's where we
That's the one in
should
the
have started.
middle.
Yeah, so we'll make sure when we get to language arts, we'll pause and make sure as we move along that we all get back into the right place and nobody's skipping ahead. So what we need to do there, right, as soon as you open it, start at the top.
See, mine say continue because that's where I was at first.
Yeah, that's where I was too. Answering questions. The first
Okay.
answer
Okay.
is C.
Yeah.
Okay,
me
that's
too.
fine. All right.
I
So
did this
if you
already.
say,
Me too.
okay, so hey, just bear with us. We'll get through it real quick then, because it's only like 8 questions. It's a lot shorter than the other one. So we're back on that map of New Jersey. All right, and it's talking about the compass here. So that compass rose is a map symbol. You use it to determine direction along the cardinal directions: north, south, east, west. And as I mentioned, most maps are orientated, so north is up on a map. Anytime you hold a map up, it's going to be north. So which area of New Jersey has the most major cities? Is it the northwest, west, northeast?
Northeast.
Oh my Atlantis. It put me back in the other one.
It is C. Yeah, northeast.
Oh, we got that one right.
Okay. 2, map of Australia. And, I mentioned yesterday that like the Mercator projection is all right angles. This is not right angles, right? They kind of slant like that. So it's a good map. It shows you sort of the shape of Australia, but to actually navigate on that, you would want to use a different map. So that's why we use different maps for different things. In this case, looks good, but it has a different purpose. All right, so here, based on the map, which statement about Sydney is accurate?
I think it's C.
I think it's C too.
There you go. Yeah, Sydney is east of 150 east longitude. So where's our, right there's our 150 east. And just like we're talking about United States, west of longitude, Australia being on the other side of the world, basically east longitudes. So Sydney is east 150 degrees. And you also see with the latitudes, right, they're south. So up here somewhere 0 degrees with the equator, and then it counts down this way. Okay. And then based on our map here, what can you assume about Australia?
B.
Most of the cities are located north
I
of
think it's
15 degrees.
B.
B as in boy.
B, yeah, most of the cities are located along the coast. Same thing, right? We talked about, I mentioned this yesterday. A lot of your settlements and stuff in Australia are going to be around the water because it's very dry. In an uninhabitable space in the interior of Australia with lots of things that want to kill you. So B. Okay. And then finally, which 2 cities in Australia are located the farthest apart?
B.
Did you say D?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you said D.
Yeah. This was process of elimination. This is another one of those test taking skills, right? You would look at that map and you think, okay, Perth and Sydney, right?
But
they look really far away. That's not the answer, right? So you can eliminate that right away. Exactly. So then it's a process of elimination. And the only other thing that's left that's really far apart is Darwin and Sydney. So I was looking for that too. And again, if we, broke our little rulers out, we would see that it's probably pretty close. but it's actually Darwin and Sydney. Okay, and now we have a map of Georgia, road map with some interstate. So which interstate highway runs through Georgia's capital?
D.
D,
75.
I-75, yep. And also I-85, which I think comes through here somewhere. I used to live in Atlanta, or I used to live outside of Atlanta. And everybody drives like maniacs down there. So anywhere around I-285, 85, 75, everybody's doing about 150 miles per hour around Atlanta when it's not gridlock. So D, 75. Okay, so which city is near Interstate Highway 16 and Interstate Highway 95?
D.
Is it C?
It's C. Yeah, Savannah, right?
Mhm.
So 16 here, 95 there. Again, even roads are east-west. Odd numbers are north-south. So C. Okay. And then 7. Which city's absolute location is closest to 81 degrees
A.
west, 32 north?
Or D?
A.
A, right? It sets almost right on 32 degrees north, 32 degrees latitude. Brings you right there. That's only city, but just to, be on the safe side, you can see 81 degrees west right there. So A. And then lastly, which part of Georgia contains the greatest amount of population?
B.
So B, North Central?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little tricky because it also has north there, but most of this is central in the state, and it's obviously in the northern extent of the state. So Atlanta, Athens, Augusta, Macon, right? That's all going to have your largest population. So north central. Okay. And let's see what happens when we submit it this time. Okay. Those.
Everything was right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop